I start with this story? This one goes back a long ways. Um, 2003 was my first World Cup. I was actually supposed to go in 2002, but I chose work over the hobby at the time, paintball. And I elected to send some friends in my place, and that was an infamous year in paintball. It was the last year at the old spot before we moved to Disney, and it was also the year that Avalanche had their sniper in the woods, Jeremy, aka Jeremy Salam, against, I think it was Ground Zero, Nikki Cuban and the boys. So there was a lot leading up to 2003 for me. I was already a divisional player, playing actually at the time. I just started building a team for Velocity Paintball, a local field, my home field here in San Diego. And that 2003, so much stuff happened. That cup, that first cup for me, we came in to play X Ball. It was a new format. We'd only had 1 or 2 practices with it, and we're playing D2 at the time, which was novice, and we were building to become an amateur pro team. But again, bunch of new guys. I'd only been in the tournament circuit myself since '99, so only 3 or 4 years, and it got interesting. We got out there, lost our first match to Titman Effect, and on that Titman Effect team there was guys like Carl Markowski playing, a lot of guys who went on to become future greats. You're gonna have to excuse me, my arm's going numb. Oh, okay, sorry. Sit upright, try and hold this in the right position. I look up the wrong way or anything, everything shuts down. I got a bunch of crushed vertebrae in my neck. So back to the story. So we dropped that first game and moved to the losers bracket, and from the losers bracket we fought and fought, and we won match after match, and actually came back to fight them in the semifinals for advancement and beat Titman Effect the second time we saw them. So that was a feather in a cap. And also I had been hurt at the time. About our 5th match, I hyperextended my knee running down the snake. I'd already picked up 2 on my tape, and it was just good fortune, I guess, but also bad fortune, because I went down the snake, stepped in a pothole, and it's all on video. I might try and show it here. Let's see if I can find that clip. So I was injured for the rest of the event, and I was working for Dye the whole time as well. So I was helping out in the booth, still coaching, still trying to help the team out. And we ended up taking 7th out of, I don't remember how many teams, but not bad considering our first outing. Another instance that happened at that event was one of our guys, James. He was quite skilled with a video camera. He was out, had been asked by Legacy to film a Legacy Texas Storm game. He was on the field filming for him. Lane Wright came out, told him he could not be filming, tried to take his camera from him. They ended up in a scuffle. That ended up a whole instance. My buddy James ended up being banned from PSP events for a long period of time, and actually ended up sadly committing suicide the very next year. And so a dear friend and a great creative resource was lost. I mean, there's so many, we rode motorcycles, played paintball, all kinds of stuff. He was my buddy and an employee. He worked for me at my moving company. So that's where it really started for me. I mean, I was at every cup from 2003 until 2018 from there. And I was either working, playing, or a little bit of both, helping normally with Dye. I'm a bit of a junkyard dog. I sign up with somebody and I stay with them. I'm a pretty loyal guy. I never jump teams a lot or anything like that, but just, that's my nature, So 2018, after 15 years of working cups and paintball events and playing, my body had gotten pretty wore down. I've got a bunch of herniated, disintegrated discs in my back, bad hip, knee, ankle, you name it. I've done good with this rig. And so I told the guys at Dye at the time that was probably going to be my last working cup and my last one for a while. I just was hurting and I was feeling it, Then all that COVID stuff came down and everything got weird there. So that definitely put the nail in the coffin, and I hadn't been out to a cup until this year, 2022, which actually, not realizing it, marks 20 years since my first cup, 2003 to 2022. And it was only a few weeks out prior to the event that I get a call from my dear friend Miko, who is now working with Hormesis, and he asked that I'd come help him build a booth, come out of retirement and not only build a booth, but build the best booth in paintball. And I jumped at the opportunity. To be honest, I'd missed the scene. I'd missed being around the whole atmosphere. And I'm obviously a paintball player through and through. I've been doing it since I was 14 years old. Spilling coffee on myself. And so I jumped at the chance, even with all my injuries, and I was really intimidated by it, to be honest. I was like, I got to pull this off. I got to be able to pull this off. I got to be able to go work, but like with the pinched nerves and the damage and, worried about further injury, I had to really keep it in check, and I had to really watch myself. But I got out there, and we ended up with a pretty good team. It was me and Meeks and Kevin O'Connell, a guy who works for Hormesis, and we collabed that thing and threw together what I consider an incredibly successful booth. Very well done. A lot of concepts we had wanted to try and work with before, and it just didn't fit the bill for the work I'd done with Dye. And so it was really an honor to get called up and pulled back into the mix, even in my current condition. So got out there. We had a hurricane coming before the standard World Cup. Hurricane coming, all kinds of obstacles, having a hard time finding what we want. This post-COVID resources are quite difficult. You don't find everything at Home Depot like you used to, and in places like Amazon and whatnot. I mean, it's just the supplies and fixtures just aren't around like they used to be. So the obstacles we overcome, and then when we finally opened the booth, it was nonstop. We had a line out the door. We had to watch our numbers. We never allowed more than 40. Tried to keep it around 25 to 30 in there, just because it got too cramped, and we really wanted to give people the opportunity to shop and not be intimidated and feel like they had to to scramble and fight people for product. And it actually was incredibly successful. We went over very well. We were well received. The community that Alex and Oliver have already built with this brand is phenomenal. The people were absolutely amazing. I do want to say, I know for a fact I didn't get to see everybody that I wanted to or that I would like to. And I had people actually come see me in the booth, and I was so busy I didn't get to break away or even sometimes give them a look. And it probably came across as rude, but I honestly was so overwhelmed with emotion and trying to stay on task and do my job. I got hired to do a job. I came in to do a job, and I was trying to do that job to the best of my ability and working with my parameters, as a almost 50-year-old man with a fair amount of injuries. I had to kind of neglect some of my own personality because I wanted to talk and I wanted to hang out with people, but I was there to make sure that booth went well, and I feel like I did that. I accomplished that goal. And so anybody I didn't get to talk to, and I'm sorry, because I really would have loved to have been able to say hi to everybody, and this is it now. I'm sorry. But would have been great. And the ones I did get to visit with was awesome. I had so many people come up to me that remember me, and it was awesome. It was really good. It was really, really good. I mean, the community that exists in paintball is phenomenal. We shoot at each other. We imitate war, and you come off the field, you will not find people anywhere that get it and get you like other paintball players will. It's just a fact. A simple fact. So when it all comes down to it, I didn't even step on the field, I came to World Cup and feel like I won World Cup. I really, at a personal level, I successfully completed a booth, successfully helped some guys with something new, a new venture, and got to see so many old friends, some of them I hadn't seen in 10 years. Or more. Got to make some new ones. Seeing the new generations coming up in paintball is inspiring. I started playing this game in '87. So, and a funny side note, as a matter of fact, I went from '87 to 2000, 13 years without being bunkered. I also didn't play a lot of the tournament style paintball. I was always a woods ball guy, old school. That's where I came from. That's where the game came from, was in the woods. And I tended to stay in the woods for the most part up until I started to get into the tournament scene about '99. But long story short, I was up at Velocity when it had just opened in 2000, and it was field 11, this big field up on the side of a hill, and there was this bunker called the God Bunker. It had one big tree coming out of it, and then it was, I think, a couple of pallets stacked, but it just had the angle of the hill, and it was right on the 50, so whoever could make that basically could shoot down into the whole other side of the field, and it was a very dominant position. So game on, I tell my buddies, just make sure no one comes and gets me, no one comes and bunkers me out of there or can get close to me, and I'm going to get in there before anybody else and just shred the other team. Well, I slide in there, and I think I got out maybe 10 or 15 shots, and a barrel came over the top, double tapped me in the head, and I was bunkered for the first time and out. And of all people, it was Alex, and here I am, 20 years later, building and helping run a booth for him, a guy who's becoming an icon in the industry. You know, he's helped build that Dynasty brand and that Dynasty legacy. I mean, their legacy actually starts on the field, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, they've proved domination over and over again. So to come back and be part of that beautiful thing again, and then to watch them three-peat, you know, this World Cup was just as magical as the 15 prior, and I'm so glad I got to come back and experience that. And I want other people to get to know that and understand that and experience that. So don't be shy. Go to a paintball tournament. You know, if you like paintball at all, get out there and get to know these people. You know, you'll be surprised. There's a lot of good vibes out there, and I just wanted to share some of those from one big paintball nerd to the others. Peace, y'all.